Hello, my beautiful angels, and I wanted to make sure this is going to be a Q&A, and let me just explain a little bit about what this video is, because I am thinking of starting a new series on this channel called Beauty and Wisdom. So the reason why I want to do it is because I want to share some of my beauty tips, which I get so many questions about, how I do my hair, my makeup, things like that, and I also want it to be beneficial and something you can chill out to and listen to my advice on certain topics asked on Instagram for you guys to submit your self-love and love questions, since today's Valentine's Day. And as I'm filming this, there is a huge snowstorm outside and I live in Texas. So basically when it snows here, can't do anything. Nobody leaves the house. There's not a car outside. Perfect time to do this. And it's just so romantic and beautiful to see all the beautiful flurries outside. So that being said, I'm going to show you guys basically my favorite makeup that I do every day, whether I'm just going to film or I'm going to go out. So I'm here with my bare face, just have moisturizer and serum and my skincare done. Skincare is so important for any makeup look to look beautiful. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to start with the very first question, the very first person who submitted. So in order to do my makeup, I'm going to do my foundation. I'm going to clip my bangs to the side here, which, by the way, if you have bangs, you have to get these creaseless hair clips. They're basically like normal clips, but they don't leave a crease, which is amazing. So, oh, and I have my little heart earrings, which if you guys want to see any of this jewelry that you see on me, you want to know where it's from, go check out my latest jewelry video. The products I'm using, I will list them all down below in the description box in order that I use them. For the sake of time and for the sake of this video, I am just going to be answering questions, not talking about the products I'm using. So just a disclaimer. First question, what is something you do to help you when you're at your lowest point? So this is a really good question. I'm glad it's the first one, because I feel like this past year in 2020, which I just gotta say, I love this Ilia makeup. I'm just gonna do a couple drops. I'm not gonna do too much because this is a great, I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about the products, but you don't even need a full dropper of this. It's gonna be a little tan for me because this is kind of like my vacation makeup. So 2020 was a year where I went through a lot of struggle and hit a low point probably twice, a very low point twice. My dog passed away, among other things that went on in my personal life, and just the whole uncertainty of everything going on. I will say, when you're at your low point, the last thing you want to do is be really hard on yourself and beat yourself up for feeling bad. Don't ever beat yourself up for being human, for being upset, for your emotions. Allow your emotions to be felt. Allow your emotions to be brought up, and face your emotions. I think that as a society, we're kind of conditioned to want to push away our emotions or push away what makes us human. We either want to quell our anger or sadness, our low points with alcohol or drugs, or, distract ourselves from it, when that's the last thing you want to do. Face it, have a healthy way of facing it. Perhaps talk to people, lean on others for support, a friend or family member. Don't be afraid of reaching out to anyone, and take time. Ask yourself, why am I in this low point? What happened? What was going wrong in my life, or what was I doing wrong in my life that made me get into this place? Was I eating wrong? Was I harboring bad relationships? Was my lifestyle not good? Just look at the little things that led up to this kind of rock bottom feeling, and be honest about them. Be honest about why you're there. And instead of beating yourself up about it, again, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is this time in my life trying to teach me? And in that way, any rock bottom or low point that you hit in your life won't be this detrimental, my life is over moment. It will be like a almost like a watershed moment, a moment that you learn from that changes you in a good way. So that's what I always believe in, is alchemizing, is changing those moments and seeing what you can learn and how you can grow from them. Next, it's so important that you guys pray and you stay close to God. This is the biggest thing for me, is I've always had a relationship with God, and I think a lot of people have a misconception about me that I never believed in God or Christ. I've always had a strong relationship with God. And even though I didn't talk about it as much in the past, or didn't seem like it, or perhaps as I talked about the law of attraction, people thought, people make generalizations and things like that. For me personally, okay, I'm not talking about anyone else. For me personally, God has always been the center of my life. And in that sense, it might not be like your faith journey, or look like your faith journey, or look like your spiritual awakening or your beliefs. That's fine. We're all different. But for me, it's very important to pray and to leave anything heavy. I just literally say it. I say it in my prayers. I say, God, I cannot carry this anymore. I cannot deal with this. I know I'm only human. Please help me. And in that sense, divine guidance from the highest, from the most high, comes down and it helps you. And that's how God has always worked in my life. So even if you've never prayed, even if you don't have a semblance of faith or what a relationship with God looks like or any of that, just talk to God. The Father always listens. He's always listening. If you're in a dark place, surrender to God, release control, surrender to the divine, and see how you feel. This one's a good one. I think I've gotten too comfortable on my own and won't let anyone in romantically. She says she has too much self-love. Well, this is the thing. Self-love is also about allowing and opening your heart. If you want a relationship and you feel that you've been single for a long time, which is completely fine. It doesn't matter how long you've been single. Don't ever think that just because you've never been in a relationship, or you've always been single, or you've been single for a long time, or you're divorced or widowed or whatever it may be, it does not mean that you're not worthy of love, that you can't have a relationship in, or that you can't let somebody in. Now, self-love at its core is putting yourself first. However, putting yourself first also means that if you have the desire to be in a relationship, which is completely normal, which is not something that you should beat yourself up about, it's not something that you should be ashamed of. Self-love is never about shame or guilt, but you should enjoy the process of imagining or writing down or praying about who you want in your life. And I think the reason why you say that you can't let anyone in is because you haven't met the one. And that's completely fine. There is no timeline to meet the one. There is no age to meet the one. God brings in the person that's meant for you. If you trust in God's timing, He will bring in somebody for you that will, you'll just be like, wow, I suddenly want to love. I want to date again. I want to get to know somebody again. And it happens. Do not ever give up. Do not ever settle. And if you're just not feeling it yet, you're just not feeling it yet. It's not that there's anything inherently wrong with you or that you have too much self-love. I don't think that's it. Actually, I wouldn't even say you have too much self-love. I think you have walls up still. You have this protective barrier around yourself, which you have to figure out. Not with judgment, not with anger, but with a healing heart. Perhaps since you've been single for too long, you're self-sufficient, you're independent, that's great. But if you have deep down a desire to be in a relationship, dig deep and ask yourself, why am I closed off? Was I hurt in the past? Did somebody hurt me? Do I think all relationships are just dead ends, that no one likes me? Which are all limiting beliefs. So this is a good question. How do I start? Meaning, how do I start self-love? I don't love who I see in the mirror. I feel broken. So I actually did a how to start a self-love healing journey video about a year ago, I would say, around this time. And I will link it somewhere for you guys. And the premise for me is basically the same in that video, is to really see yourself in this feeling. And for me, love is a state of being. It's not just romantic. It's not whether or not somebody likes you or wants to date you or whatnot. It's about being in a state of love. And what is love? You have to start defining, what does love mean to you? It's a state of being. Okay, so what does it mean to be in love? It means to be kind, hold space for yourself, be compassionate towards yourself. It means to prioritize yourself, stop focusing so much on other people, especially people who are there for you or strangers online or whatever it may be, focusing too much on the external and instead focusing on yourself, on your inner home. How are you feeling? What things do you do that make you feel expanded? What things do you do that make you feel limited? And asking yourself those questions and being really, really real with yourself is going to be the beginning of a self-love journey, the beginning. And you don't have to be perfect, guys. This is the thing, is we put these expectations on ourselves, these really, really high expectations on ourselves to have all our ducks in a row, to be completely perfect in order for us to feel worthy of just love or just self-love. When in reality, you're already whole and complete as you are. You don't need anything or anyone. You just have to decide to put yourself first, whether that's your emotions first, whether that's your well-being, your health, your daily routines. And when guilt or shame comes into play, you talk to it gently and say, you're not here for me. I'm not allowing you in. You don't live here anymore. It's that simple. So start asking yourself, what can I do today to prioritize my well-being? It's not selfish. It's not anything to feel guilty of. It's absolutely essential, because we start feeling lack and we start not liking ourselves in the mirror, because I should get onto my makeup, because we decided that we are not even worthy of our own time, worthy of our own compassion, worthy of our own praise. So start speaking kindly to yourself. Speak life into your cells, into your bones, and you'll see how it'll change. So I'm kind of embarrassed to pull this out, but I ordered another brush online and it still doesn't come in because of the snowstorm. So I have this really old eyebrow brush that broke off, and this is literally the only spoolie I have, so I have to use it. But I'm going to fill in my brows really quick. But first, let me get another question. Here's a funny question, but it's a good question nonetheless. I believe the question is directed at me, so I will answer it as such. It says, would you still love yourself if you didn't have likes, looks, money, etc.? Real core self-love. That's a very deep question. And I think I would say yes, because my identity and my feeling of self-worth and self-love doesn't come from any of this. And it did for a while when I was younger and I didn't know any better, and I was devoid of self-love at the time, and I didn't really know what any of that meant, because society conditions us to believe that our worth is only, especially women, our worth is only dependent on looks, on who likes you, on your relationship status, on money, likes, follows, and that's all part of the matrix. You know, the matrix that we live in is constantly trying to keep us from knowing our true divinity, knowing our true beauty and spirituality. And that's why, guys, why do you think I made my tagline, my quote at the end of my videos, your true beauty, your true worth, your true power always comes from within? To remind not only you guys, but also myself, that that is the core of who I am. Everything comes from within. And I believe, you know, we're all children of God, and we're all made in God's image, and we're all beautiful in our own way because of that, not because of any kind of money, any kind of fame. And it's like, I don't even have that much fame, I would say, or likes. You know, I really don't have that big of a following on Instagram as other people who do have I don't know. I really don't. Honestly, that's one thing, is I detached from, and guys, this brow gel here is heavenly. I've detached from a lot of that stuff, and I detached from it pretty early on in my journey. And sometimes, you know, you feel the need to be like, oh, maybe I should get more followers. Maybe I should do this to up my engagement. Whoa, that's crazy. That's a crazy brow, but we'll tame it in a... So it's kind of... Ooh, I actually love it, but I might have to fix it in a second. You see how broken this thing is? It's not even funny. So yeah, I did feel that at the beginning, but now I just have such a solid relationship with God that, you know, I realize my worth is not dependent on this earth and what happens on this earth plane. It's about how you treat people, how you are kind to others, the impact you have on others, on the world, on the people around you. And not even that. It's just about being love. I think when you're truly a person who's loving and kind to others, that's where you find true fulfillment and true meaning. And for me, you know, I think money and looks and all this stuff is just so temporary. Likes, I mean, who cares? Likes, whatever. That's never been why I do what I do. That's never been why I do my purpose. I never started YouTube and think, oh, I'm gonna make a ton of money. I did it because I loved it. And I do this because I love it. I had no problem stepping back from YouTube for, you know, almost 6 months because I knew that there was more important things that I had to deal with instead of growing my channel or competing with other people or, you know, all that silly stuff, because life is so short. And that's something we always have to realize, is life is so short. Looks will fade, money will dry up one day, recessions happen, Great Depression. But what's really important at the end of the day is the people you love and the people around you, and that's what we gotta focus on. Long story short, yes, I would still have self-love, because what I love most about myself is not what I have, but who I am and my personality. And what I love most about myself is my resilience, that no matter what happens to me in this earth, on this planet, I still will always have that spirit of fighting. And that's what I love most about myself. So I know these brows aren't like everyone's cup of tea, but I really love them. And if you don't like them, sorry. How do I move on from a relationship without hurting them? So always, when ending a relationship, be kind. Unless that person doesn't deserve your kindness, because I don't know what your situation is. But if they didn't do anything wrong and you simply want to move on and feel that you're incompatible, there's really no easy way to break up with somebody. Somebody's always is going to be bound to get hurt or just blindsided or something. Breaking up with somebody is never easy, especially when you're with somebody toxic. They'll try to make you feel like you're the bad guy, that they're the victim, even though they might have hurt you and done things that you don't agree with. So don't ever feel bad for breaking up with somebody. Break up with somebody as soon as possible. As soon as you feel that you've thought about it, there's no way it's gonna work, that you're just done, you're over it, and that person, you know, they're not really into it either. If you prolong it, it's only gonna make it worse. At the end of the day, it's just gonna waste everyone's time. So don't prolong it. Be mature about it. You don't have to be rude if you don't, I mean, never be rude, but I understand emotions are involved. Just be honest and say your piece. And a person who loves you and respects you will respect your decision to break up. All right, I zoomed in the camera because I want to show you guys what I do with my eyes. I use a Disney Princess palette usually for my eyes. If I do eyes, I usually don't. But today I'm just gonna hit my contour palette here just for a little bit of shading. How to be confident, feel sexy with smaller boobs, broader shoulders, etc. Love you, queen. I love you too. So let's talk. So this is the thing, is I have to say this over and over again, because I know for my female viewers, as women, we are taught from a very young age that our worth and our happiness and just our state of life, everything depends on how good our body looks, or if our body fits a certain stereotype, or if it, you know, fits the beauty standards of that day. And let me tell you something, beauty standards changed so much throughout time, throughout history. You know, there was a time where it was just gorgeous to have no boobs and be very slim and have broad shoulders and have that very, you know, Amazonian supermodel look, or not even that, just, you know, just to be thin and not have a big butt, you know. And now it's kind of the opposite, you know, more voluptuous, almost exaggerated female form is now what's the beauty standard of today, which I say beauty standard because I don't think that we should have to adhere to any kind of beauty standard. So what I'm trying to get at is your body is a precious vessel that holds your spirit, your soul. Your body is a temple. On this earth, you're not experiencing earth as a human to be the most beautiful thing or to look a certain way. Your body was made perfectly. You know, your skin, your bone structure, all these things about you, they don't derive their worth because of how they look. Now think of your heart, for example. The organ, your heart. Your heart, if you take it out, it's pretty gross and ugly. You know, it's just like a bloody organ with all these veins and ventricles and arteries and, you know, all this stuff going on in it. It's ugly. You know, even the brain is, you look at a brain and it's full of wrinkles and blood and vessels and all these different colors. But does that mean our heart or our brain is not important? Does that mean our heart and our brain is not valuable? Of course, our heart and our brain are sustaining our life. Our heart and our brain are keeping us here, actually being able to conceptualize of life and experience. So without getting too esoteric, think of your body as exactly the same. Your legs, yeah, they could have stretch marks, they could have cellulite, but they help you walk. Walking is a huge privilege to even be able to walk, to stand up, to sit. And every single day we talk bad about our bodies as if they didn't do all these incredible things that, you know, many people aren't able to do. And that is how we have to see our bodies, is not beat our bodies up because it doesn't look like this Instagram model or this and that, because most of those images you see and you compare yourself to are not even real in and of themselves. A lot of those people who you think have perfect bodies or perfect faces, perfect whatever, they're not even happy about themselves. Why? Because that tells you that you will never be happy if you constantly let what's going on externally decide how much you can love yourself. And I know I'm saying this as I'm doing my makeup, but hey, we enjoy things, right? So I'm gonna curl my lashes a little bit. So small boobs, I've got small boobs. Broad shoulders, you know, broad shoulders are awesome. They look great in a lot of different outfits. They give you kind of like that very hourglass shape. Look at the beauty of your unique qualities. How boring would it be if we looked like everyone else and every woman had the same exact body, if every man had the same exact face and body? It would be so boring if we all looked alike, you know? And for me, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And that's always something you have to say. So even if other people don't find you beautiful, who cares? You have to find yourself beautiful, and the way you start doing that is saying, I love my boobs, I love my shoulders, I love my hips, I love my legs, and just speak love onto your body. Stop waiting for other people to say it. Speak love onto your body, because there may be people out there, and I think I did my eyeliner a little thicker than I like it, but there may be people out there who think what you have is so beautiful, because that's the society we live in. You know, people want what they can't have, which is wrong. You know, it's a sin against yourself to not appreciate what you have and just want what other people have. It's like people who have straight hair want curly hair, people who have, you know, light skin want dark skin. It's just this never-ending cycle. So you can either go get it surgery, you know, you can go get implants, whatever you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, you know. Or you can just say, you know what, screw society, screw what other people say and do and think about my body. This is coming from somebody who's been body shamed a lot, you know, throughout my life. And I've gotten to a point now where I look at my body and yeah, it's not supermodel. I didn't come to earth to be a supermodel, by the way. I came to earth to be Isabel and, you know, live in my purpose, whatever your purpose might be. I didn't come on earth to be the most beautiful. I didn't come on earth to be in a beauty pageant. I didn't come on earth for any of that. Some of you might have. I'm just cleaning up a little bit. You came to earth to be the most fiercely powerful version of yourself. And that's all you got to focus on. Being your most authentic, true self. And honey, you can bet that there's somebody out there who wants to have your beautiful figure, because that's the way it is. Somebody probably looking at your photos and is like, wow, she's so beautiful. That's the cycle. So you got to break the cycle. Accept yourself as you are. Love yourself as you are. You have to own those unique parts of yourself. Here's a good question. How can you be consistent on loving yourself even if people are throwing rocks on you? Well, I can attest to this because being online, I am subject to a lot of negativity, a lot of hatred, a lot of just people making assumptions about me and my life and, you know, judgment, and it gets really hard. That's why I had to take a break from YouTube, because I had to prioritize myself. So what I would say is whatever or whoever's doing this to you, make sure that you separate yourself from them, that you step back from them, give yourself space, and if need be, cut off contact from this person. Because if somebody's throwing rocks at you, they're not a friend. If they're a family member, well, why would you want to have family that's putting you down? That's not what you came on earth here for. You came to earth to be loved and appreciated. So set boundaries, you know, cut people out of your life. And I think it's really important, guys, to cut out people or situations or things in your life that don't serve you, that are hurting you. What's going to glorify God? That's what you need to do, is make sure that you are kind to yourself. Think of yourself as a little child, right? If you were a little child and you were also the parent of that little child, and that little child came to you and said, Mom or Dad, there's these bullies at school and they are so mean, they constantly talk bad about me, or they tell you, oh, there's a teacher at school who treats me bad, makes fun of me, yada, yada, yada. What are you going to do? Say, oh, well, you're just going to have to put up with it. No, as a parent who loves that child, as somebody who loves themselves, what are they going to do? They're probably going to go to the school and stand up for the child. They're going to go and raise hell for the child and say, what's going on here? And that's what you got to do, is stand up for yourself. If somebody's throwing rocks at you, stand up for yourself and separate yourself from that, because you do not deserve to be in that situation. So yeah, my angel, don't be in a situation where people are rude to you. Cut those people out, end those relationships, burn those bridges. I mean, that's like the very minimum we can do for ourselves out of self-love. Past traumas which cause insecurities. How do you not let them get the best of you? Well, make peace with them. Make peace with things that went wrong in the past or pain that you went through. And when I say make peace with them, you're surrendering and letting go. Because often what keeps our traumas replaying is the fact that we hold them against ourselves. We hold our pain against ourselves. We judge ourselves for going through this. And guess what, guys? A lot of our traumas happen not because of our own fault. I would say most of our traumas are not our fault. You know, it's just part of being human that when we go through something difficult or terrible or hard, we struggle. The effects linger onto us and linger in our lives, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. So first thing you got to do is face them and not to dismiss them. The last thing you want to do with your traumas is dismiss them. Get help, talk about them. Okay, and I don't mean talking about them as if you're dwelling on them, not at all. But talking about your traumas lightens the load of them, makes them less scary. It's like facing your fears, right? We can hide them away and be afraid of them, but when we face them, that's when we overcome them, because we show ourselves and we show our subconscious that they're not as powerful or more powerful than us. They're just an aspect of our past, of our story. And your story becomes so beautiful when you own those things and you are not ashamed. Sorry, I like a very structured little thing there. When you're not ashamed of your traumas, that's when the magic happens. So don't be ashamed. Find somebody to talk to, whether that's a therapist, a spiritual advisor, a counselor, pastor, priest, somebody who you can be open and vulnerable with. Even being open and vulnerable with yourself in a journal is so therapeutic, and it makes these scary thoughts or memories in our head seem less daunting and kind of brings them down to earth. And this is one thing that I really learned in my own journey, especially this past year. And I talked a little bit more about this in my update video I posted about a month ago, but I really learned to give these things to God. God makes all things new. He makes all things new. And that's one thing I really surrendered to. God helping me feel new and beautiful and loved and valuable, despite the fact that I made a lot of mistakes in my past. I went through a lot of hard stuff that a lot of other people haven't gone through, and I don't feel ashamed of it, because I'm here today and I feel so much stronger and more beautiful, and I've learned so much through those things. So in a nutshell, I think that's the best way. And shadow work is important, healing is important, but not looking at your traumas as something daunting and difficult and something that has stained you, or like a tattoo you gotta wear on your face forever. It's not like that. You will move forward. You will be new. You are new every single day that you wake up. And I think that really helped me, is to feel assured in that, and also to live my life in a new way. Not living my life based in fear or my past traumas, but living my life based on what excites me, on love, on hope for the future. And that has helped me move on. How to not feel insecure about a guy not wanting you / choosing another girl over you. So I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If you are dating someone or getting to know someone and that is a fear that you have, they're not the one for you. Why do I say this? Because either you still have healing to do, which in that case, probably shouldn't be worried about being in a relationship if you still have healing to do. And I'm not saying this because, oh, you're not worthy of being in a relationship if you've been hurt, whatever. No, you will have a much happier dating life and new relationship if you take the time to heal before getting serious with someone. So either A, you need to step back, stay single, heal, and focus on what may be causing this feeling, this insecurity, this limiting belief. Ask yourself, where did it come from, or where did it start? How did it start? What situation? It usually isn't one situation that starts, it's usually a few. So getting real with yourself in your journal about where all that stuff started and where it came from is very powerful. That's a big part of a healing journey. Now, if you're worried that a guy is going to choose somebody else over you, or he's talking about other girls, or he's, paying attention to other girls, that's not your man. That's not your man. That is somebody who is probably not mature or healed themselves if they're doing things that, hit certain insecurities. A guy who wants to be with you, trust me, a guy who's worthy of you, who likes you and who is going to be there for you, is somebody you're not going to have to chase, somebody that doesn't make you insecure, and somebody who's going to treat you right. And what's important is that if somebody doesn't treat you right, that you walk away. Don't entertain that kind of stuff. Okay. For lips. So yes, with the one, I'm going to do a little bit of I usually don't do my lips this bold, and they are orange, not red. I don't like red on myself, to be honest. I love orange. This is like my favorite lipstick of all time. I just usually don't wear it this bright. And I like my lipstick to look more like a stain, not like actual lipstick. So I kind of dot it. If anybody's making you feel insecure, they're probably not your person. Be aware of red flags. Here's a good question. How do I pray? I don't know how I feel about this super bright orange, but we'll roll with it. And I'm doing an orange blush as well. Because surprise, surprise, I love blush. So yes, how do I pray? Like I was saying, I usually pray in the mornings, and at night I pray gratitude. I say, thank you, God, for another beautiful day, for giving me life, for waking up. I also pray when there's good things that come into my life, good people, things go well that I was worried about, when they end up going well and things go well, I know that's God. I'm not perfect in my Catholic faith, but I do try to adhere to a lot of teachings, and I love a lot of the Catholic prayers, such as Our Father, Hail Mary. I have a very strong connection to Mother Mary, and so I always pray the rosary. I try to pray every day, but that's another thing I'm not so perfect at. I like to pray the rosary, so Our Father, Hail Mary, or I just pray of gratitude. Or when I'm worried and I'm sad, I just talk to God, you know, like my father. I talk to God as somebody that I can lean on, and somebody that's always listening and loves me. And you know, sometimes when you're praying, you're crying. Sometimes when you're praying, you're happy, you're excited. But I try to pray as often as possible. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of highlighter to finish off the look. Just a pop. I like very dewy skin, even though skin is not so dewy today because it is quite wintry and dry. Like very wintry and dry. So I actually put face oil on and my skin just sucked it up, because where I live is very, very dry. So I always, and I have dry skin, so I always have to make sure that I am nice and hydrated. How do you set effective boundaries in dating? This is great. Maybe not from the first or second date. Maybe if you feel comfortable, you know, talking to this person, you feel like this is a person who is, you know, gonna be in your life for a while. Be honest about those things. I mean, you don't have to go and like talk about your exes right away. Like, this is the thing. I think a lot of people are afraid of, you know, being too open or too vulnerable, because you know, we have this idea, okay, we don't have to chase people. We shouldn't chase, which you shouldn't. I don't believe you should chase somebody. It should be like a mutual coming together. And of course, a man should always show you that you are worthy, you are valuable, and he should show that with his actions. You shouldn't have to chase or ask or beg someone to treat you right. So make that known from the beginning. I enjoy this. I like this. I am not a fan of, you know, this kind of behavior, this and that. And let them know from the get-go. You don't have to be like, well, this is what I want, and then you don't have to do that. No, not at all. You can be very conversational and very non-confrontational about it. But it's important that you let them know from early on, and not be like, oh, I'm gonna wait until this time and then I'm gonna come and bring the hammer down on my boundaries. No, kind of casually in conversation say, I don't tolerate this kind of stuff. Or ask them, so what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? What do you think about social media? What do you think about, you know, whatever your boundaries are, ask them first and kind of ease your way in, and then talk about your own. That's how we can, and that's how you know, because a lot of times the people that are meant to be with us and in our lives usually have similar boundaries as we do. A person who respects you will respect your boundaries. A person who likes you for who you are will be like, that's fine. I want you in my life. It's okay if you don't want me to call you early in the morning while you're still sleeping, or if you're, not okay with me, talking to my ex. Like, a person who wants to be with you will probably adhere to your boundaries, most likely, definitely. Don't ever be ashamed or afraid. Those people who think or treat us like our boundaries are some kind of problem or issue, that's the biggest red flag that that person is not meant to be with you. And I say this from experience. A person who really I'm just gonna tone down these orange lips a little bit because they're a little too much for me. A person who really loves you and respects you and values you will be like, I like this person because they have standards and boundaries. That means that they're not just getting with any random person, or they're not just giving time of day to any person. They're giving it to me, and it makes them feel special, you know? So you just gotta communicate. All right, I'm gonna answer a couple more questions since I'm done with my makeup, but we just have so many. What is your idea about being involved in the dating culture while also trying to manifest a soulmate? So this is the thing. Culture is something that you have to be a willing participant of. And for me, you guys know, I've never been on any kind of dating apps. And not because I was never like, oh, I want love, this and that, but because I knew that dating apps and this hookup culture and on all of that was not for me. You know, whenever I was in college, of course, there's a hookup culture in college. I know times have changed because of COVID for a lot of people, but for a lot of people hasn't. What's important is that you realize your worth and your value. Okay, and there was a time where I did not know my worth and my value. I knew that participating in hookup culture and things like that wasn't good, but at the same time, society's kind of pushing like sex and, you know, this and that, and pushing these images onto us that are harmful, and they take away a woman's power. They take away her, you know, beautiful, powerful, divine, feminine energy. And you're taught that the more you give away your sacred energy, the more likable you'll become, the sexier, the prettier, whatever, more guys will like you, you'll be a hotter commodity and all this stuff, and you're liberated and all this stuff. And that's where you have to say, do I agree with that? Maybe you do. You know, maybe you do agree with it, and that's up to you. But for me, I decided at my core, I don't agree with it. I feel not great when I engage in it, and I feel like it's just leading me into dead ends with bad people who don't love me and don't respect me. At that point, I decided I would step back from dating culture and that hookup culture. I wouldn't get on any kind of dating apps, and I made that decision very young, because I remember when Tinder first came out, it was just like, I would hear these horrible stories about Tinder and all this, and I said, I don't want to be on that. I don't want to be on there. So, you know, it's like, it's already hard enough to date in person as it is. You know, so I decided not to do that. Now, I was just watching Russell Brand. I'll link the video down below, but he was talking about dating in COVID times, like the dating apps, and how they are really setting us up for a dystopian future where we're not gonna have, like, think of love and dating. It's like the most primal thing. You know, you see someone, you like them, you talk to them, or they approach you, and it's kind of like this fun back and forth, this game. It's very physical. It's very like, you know, dating is a fun thing. I think we have such a negative view of dating that we forgot to enjoy it. And a lot of this stuff now during COVID, and the media pushes like, oh, dating apps, dating this, and it's like turned dating into like a product, like a commodity, like something that you go and buy on a shelf, or you download an app. It's something that's no longer that kind of organic, fun thing that it used to be, where somebody would come and court you and bring you flowers and all that. And I'm very traditional. And I realized we don't live in a very traditional world. And I used to want to fit into this stereotype to be, you know, modern and do things the modern way. And I realized, you know, after having difficulty in love for some time, and then going through a really bad breakup with somebody who wasn't good for me at all, after being with that person, being in a really, really serious relationship with that person for a number of years, I realized something needed to change. I didn't go on any dating apps. A lot of people were like, why don't you date anyone? You're still single, this and that, which, oh my God, by the way, as I'm talking about this, I just realized I have this new candle that I love. It's by Blue Dream, and she was actually one of my former clients, and she finally started her candle business, which I'm so excited about. So I'm gonna light this one because it's the Valentine's Day one, and it had little hearts on the top, but they melted. This one's sweet as sugar, so I just wanted to light that. I meant to light that at the beginning, oopsie. So yes, long story short, you have to decide, what do you want? Decide, what are my standards? And setting standards is so daunting. It can feel so counterintuitive, because you're like, well, I'm not doing well in dating, and now I'm gonna set standards, now I'm gonna block all these people. It's like, no, you set these standards, and literally as you decide what you're worthy of, God brings them into your life. trust me. And one big game changer for me, so I don't get involved in this dating culture that I don't agree with, that I don't feel a part of, that I don't resonate with, I prayed to God and I gave it to God and I said, God, please bring me somebody who's like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. Literally write a letter to God and see what happens. So if you don't resonate with dating apps, don't get on them. If you don't resonate with the current culture and the current climate and all that, you don't have to submit to it. And you don't even have to tell anyone. Just keep it to yourself, live your life in a certain way, and create your own little universe, your own world, where you will see things, because we create, we're co-creators of this reality. We create the world around us. What we feel inside, we start seeing it externally. So make sure that you're only allowing and accepting into your life what you believe you are deserving and worthy of. All right, this is going to be the last question I answer. There are just so many good ones. How do you keep positive after constant rejection? I always see rejection, whether that's a job, whether that's a friend, a breakup, a relationship that didn't work. I view all of these as a redirection. Anything that God closes the door on, it means that I'm not meant to go that way. And if you're rejected by somebody, say, thank you, God. Thank you for showing me that this is not the way. And I know at first your ego is like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I this? Why am I hurt? Why did I do to deserve this? Why does no one like me? Am I not good enough? And am I pretty? Like all these insecurities, all this ego, the devil's gonna come in your ear and tell you, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, no, this is why this person, no. There have been so many times where things didn't work out with people, I've dated, and it happened for a good reason, because always something better came in. Something better, someone better, and that's what you have to trust. You have to trust in God. You have to trust in the path of your life. You have to trust that you're going exactly where you need to be going. And it's okay to be in your feelings after someone rejects you or says no or ghosts you or whatever. It just shows you they're not your people, because the person that is worthy of you will make it known that they love and cherish and accept you. Cherishing is so important, that someone cherishes you, that they respect you. But first, you have to cherish yourself, have to respect yourself, and you have to tell yourself, well, it's just not my person. Just like you can meet somebody and reject them because you're just not feeling them, not vibing with them, really has nothing to do with them. It has more to do with you and what you like and your individual taste. Some people like strawberry ice cream, some people like chocolate, some people like Rocky Road, some people like Tutti Frutti, some people like vanilla, some people don't like ice cream at all. So don't take it personally. See it as simply a sign from up above that that is not your person. And when your person comes and they arrive, when God brings that person to you, it's gonna make so much sense. My favorite quote in life is, one day someone's gonna walk into your life and make you realize why it never worked out with anyone else. All right, my angels, I hope you enjoyed this video. My top is from Meshki. It's actually supposed to be buttoned here, but it's a little too revealing, so I wore a top. Both of these tops are actually from Meshki. I will link them down below. Thank you, my angels, so much for being here with me, and I will see you in my next video. Make sure every day is Valentine's Day between you and yourself, and you and your partners too. Always remember this: no matter who you may be in this life, no matter what you may be going through, no matter what your relationship status is, what you look like, what you have, any of these external things, always remember your true beauty, your true worth, and your true power always come from within. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video.